Hi everyone, coming to you with one last message from Ecclesiastes. Besides being wise, the teacher also taught the people knowledge. Weighing and studying and arranging many proverbs, the teacher sought to find pleasing words, and he wrote words of truth plainly. The sayings of the wise are like goads, like nails firmly fixed in the collected sayings that are given by one shepherd. Of anything beyond these, my child, beware. Of making many books there's no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for that is the whole duty of everyone. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. Now, I thought we were done, right? That's how I made it sound yesterday, and that actually is the consensus of pretty much every scholar and writer, that the main book ends in verse 8. And that what we have here is a later editor who came along and wanted to put his 2 cents in. And the big question is, does this editor share the same views as the teacher? And I think in a lot of ways we can say, well, maybe not quite. Now, one thing he says, right, that learning is exhausting. I think that is pretty consistent with the views, right? You'll never be able to learn or write enough. And yet there's other ways that it seems like this editor is trying to tame the message of the book with a more traditional religious perspective, right? Because where he comes down at the very end, the last verses are follow God's commands because judgment is coming. And that's a true message. That's a message we find in Scripture. But I would really say that's not the message of the teacher. It's not the message of Ecclesiastes. And so I wonder how the teacher would feel about seeing what happened to his book. I think he would probably laugh a little bit, right? Of course, someone else would come along and try and reinterpret my words. Everything is vanity. And so I think it's more of a question for us, what we do with a complicated book like Ecclesiastes and a hard message that he often has about life and death and how much it does or doesn't make sense. The question is, can we be faithful enough to not try and wrap up complicated mysteries with an easy, simplistic religious bow? Sometimes we have to learn to live with the uncertainty. We don't want to try and force black and white messages onto things that are often very gray, because that's the way that Ecclesiastes looks at life, and often the way that I see it as well. It is true that God is in all things, and Ecclesiastes has said that through all of it, but the way that God is often a mystery. And that's okay. We can't know everything, and it's good to do what God has told us. But we have to know that that's never going to be a guarantee that life will go a certain way. Instead, as the message is, that everything's fleeting. But God is always there. We can trust that, even if we don't understand it. Right? As another famous proverb says, we don't lean on our own understanding. We trust in God. And so no matter what, that's our perspective. And I think that is overall the message of Ecclesiastes. So I hope this study has been a blessing to you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.